The night exploded with a fist hammering my door, a sound that didn't belong in Desert Willow, where the loudest noise was usually the hum of golf carts or the clink of wine glasses at book club. It was 2 a.m., and I was wide awake, sitting in the dark with a glass of bourbon I hadn't touched and a Glock 19 resting on the armrest. I'd seen the black SUV roll up 10 minutes earlier, no plates, headlights slicing through my blinds. Trouble had found me, and I'd been expecting it. You don't spend 20 years as an MI6 fixture racing traders and secrets then retire to an Arizona suburb without knowing the past might knock someday. My name's Thomas Reed, or so the mailbox claims. I moved here 4 years ago, trading blood-soaked ops for a life of pruning roses and nodding at HOA memos. Desert Willow was my cover. Tidy lawns, nosy retirees, and rules about everything from fence colors to how many potted plants you could have. I blended and paid my dues, walked misses. Carter's yappy dog kept my mouth shut. But tonight, the illusion was breaking. The pounding came again, sharp and commanding. Mr. Reed, community enforcement. Open the door. I tucked the Glock into my waistband, pulled on a flannel shirt, and opened the door. 3 figures stood on my porch, dressed in Navy tactical gear with community enforcement unit patches. No badges, no police insignia, just radios, zip ties, and body cams. The woman in front, late 50s, with jet black hair and a tight bun, held up an ID card. Clara Henshaw, HOA Compliance Director. We're here about violations at this residence. I leaned against the doorframe, forcing calm. Violations? My lawn's trimmed, and I painted the mailbox your approved shade of beige. Her eyes were cold, like a shark's. Unauthorized cameras, suspicious active VY tie, failure to respond to board notices. The HOA has authorized your detention. I snorted. Detention? You're not cops. The bigger man, broad with a buzz cut, stepped forward, clipboard in hand. We don't need to be. Section 7D of the Charter gives us authority. You're coming with us. Before I could argue, the third figure lean, with a jagged scar on his cheek, grabbed my arm, twisting it behind my back. Handcuffs snapped shut, cold and tight. Do not resist, Clara said, her voice smooth but venomous. They marched me to the SUV, parked brazenly in my driveway. Curtains twitched across the street. Mrs. Carter's porch light flickered on, her silhouette clutching a phone. I wasn't scared. I was pissed. This wasn't about rules. This was an operation. The SUV reeked of stale coffee and leather. They drove slowly, parading me through the neighborhood like a trophy. I memorized their faces. Clara, composed, her lips a thin line. Buzzcut, chewing gum aggressively. Scar, silent, eyes scanning the road. Where are we going? I asked. Processing. Buzzcut grunted. That word hit like a blade. Processing wasn't for fines or warnings. It was for disappearing. We pulled into the community clubhouse, normally alive with bingo nights and aqua aerobics. Tonight it was dead, the parking lot empty, the windows blacked out. Inside, the rec room had been gutted. Monitors on folding tables, a generator humming, tarps over the windows. It looked like a CIA black site, not a place for potlucks. They shoved me into a storage room, cement floor, single chair, bare bulb. The door locked with a heavy thud. I sat, wrist cuffed, and let the silence sink in. 5 minutes, 10. I wasn't panicking. I was thinking. Clara wasn't just an HOA tyrant. She was running something that needed muscle and secrecy. And I wasn't just a retiree. I was a ghost they'd underestimated. An hour later, Clara entered alone, a folder in one hand, a thermos in the other. She locked the door and sat across from me, her posture like a judge about to pass sentence. You're not who you say you are, Thomas Reed, she said, her voice low, almost intimate. Retired insurance adjuster, moved here from Portland, likes his garden. That's the lie, isn't it? I shrugged. It's a good lie. She opened the folder, revealing photos, me watering my lawn, walking Mrs. Carter's dog, sitting on my porch at dusk. You're too careful, she said. No online presence, no VY ciders, no heat signature in your house from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. And then there's this. She slid a grainy photo across. Me, younger, in a suit. Leah, VYing a Berlin safe house. My nephew works for a defense contractor. Their facial recognition flagged you in 10 classified databases. MI6 Thomas. Not exactly insurance. I met her gaze. Nice tech for an HOA. Her smile was sharp. You think you're untouchable because of your past. But here, you're a threat. You watch. You ask questions. You don't fit. She leaned closer. The board voted. You're being removed. Removed? My voice was flat. What's that mean? EVY tie. Her eyes gleamed. It means you vanish. Like the others. Others. My mind flashed to the neighbors who'd left abruptly, houses sold overnight. No goodbyes. I thought it was the desert heat. Now, I knew better. She stood, Leah VYing the folder. Cooperate, and it's clean. Resist, and it's ugly. The door closed, and I was alone again. For 4 hours, I sat in that room. No water, no sound but the generator's hum. I didn't worry. I planned. Clara thought she'd trapped a nobody. She'd cage a fixer. At midnight, I moved. The cuffs were standard, no match for a man who'd picked locks in Moscow with a hairpin. I found a bent paperclip under the chair good enough. 5 minutes, cuffs off. The clubhouse's security system was outdated, a joke. I looped the camera feed in 4 minutes. My emergency stash was buried under a yucca plant by the pool. Silenced Walther PPK, burner phone, fake ID, due law 3,000 cash. 3 minutes to retrieve it. They thought they had me. They'd locked a predator in a shed. By 1 a.m., I was at my house, MOVYing through the dark. My laptop, hidden in a false wall in the garage, was my next stop. The HOA server was laughably unsecured. I found everything. Clara Henshaw was the sole owner of Desert Watch LLC, a front registered to a PO. Box in Vegas. Her enforcement unit was 3 ex-mercenaries hired for due law $30,000 to neutralize me. Their contracts, bank transfers, emails, it was all there. Sloppy. Dangerous. I tracked the mercenaries first. Buzzcut, real name Carl Dunn, was at a dive bar 10 miles away. I found him in the parking lot, drunk, keys in hand. A quick chokehold, zip ties, and a folder of his contracts left on his chest. I called the sheriff's tip line from a burner. Scar, a.k.a. Ethan Cole, was at a cheap motel. I slipped in through a window, disarmed his knife under his pillow, and left him for the cops with the same EVY Denke. The third, a wiry ex-cop named Ray Voss, was at his apartment. I waited in his kitchen, Walther in hand. He didn't fight. I drove him to the precinct, EVY Denke taped to his jacket. Clara was last. Her house was a modernist fortress at the edge of desert willow glass walls, floodlights, cameras. I bypassed her security in 8 minutes, cutting power to the alarms. She was in her study, sipping wine, unaware. I stepped from the shadows, my voice low. You should have stuck to mailbox fines. She didn't flinch, just turned, her face calm. You're making a mistake, Thomas. You don't know what's at stake. I tossed a USB drive on her desk. Your clubhouse audio, confessing to vanishing me. It's with a reporter at the Tucson Citizen. The feds have your LLC's records. You're finished. Her composure cracked. This community, it's a cover. The land's worth billions. We're protecting it. I didn't care. I'd heard it all before, greed, dressed up as necessity. You picked the wrong ghost, I said, and left her staring at the USB. By morning, the story broke. HOA death squad uncovered in Desert Willow. The mercenaries were in custody, their contracts headline news. Clara resigned at a chaotic board meeting, her polished facade gone. The feds raided her house that night, charging her with fraud, false imprisonment, and conspiracy. At the next poker night, neighbors swapped theories, oblivious us to the truth. I sipped my coffee, my lawn pristine, my mailbox still beige. No one knocks on my door anymore, not the HOA, not the cops, not even kids selling candy. Desert Willow hums along, but I know the quiet's a lie. When trouble comes again, I'll be ready. Ghosts like me don't retire. We just wait. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.